Good evening again, YouTubers. Red and orange and yellow and green, sky blue, indigo and violet. To continue from my previous post about communism versus capitalism. Communism versus capitalism is a great story that we are by now embedded with through centuries of education and misinformation. It's a deliberate misdirection and an exploitation of our internal duality, the bifurcated brain, if you like, left hand, right hand, and the reality that brain evolved within, a reality of hot and cold, fire and water, night and day, sun and moon, etc. So you could say some of my thinking on this subject is inspired by Taoist thought. Communism is the innate impulse, the innate desire, the innate and natural human drive to respond to the needs of others and to share. And capitalism, on the other hand, exploits the wish to pursue private interests, private goals, and to attain unique experience that, again, everyone possesses. And they're both quite natural facets, quite natural impulses, and innate socio-political imperatives and drives. Because the socio-political, the building of the nation, the development of the community, the identification of self and retention of self are as old as time, are fundamental to our being, ontological mainstays. So the story that we're told, that we have drummed into our heads about Stalin, communism, extremism of the left, Hitler, Nazism, capitalism, extremism of the right, is a mythology, and it's intended to divide us and conquer us. And as I say, more and more people are increasingly aware that something like this is the case. But we need, I strongly believe, to provide a counter, to answer to this issue, this sham dilemma and false dichotomy that we are stuck between at the moment, and not to take the bait of the intellectualization of serfdom that is communism, or the temptation of having everything you ever wanted if you just work hard enough for the man in charge of your land and your water and your life and your dreams. So, without wishing to blame any active groups, but wishing rather to identify the problem as being with a force, a kind of subliminal, residual cultural presence that's left over from the ancient imperialist mode of dividing and conquer, when it was far more overt and slaves were a matter of course in all nations. And they still are in many nations today, because this false dichotomy still operates. This divide and conquer impulse is still at large. And we need to provide a new internationalist individualism, given internet technologies, which enable such a thing, to counter it. The communism, capitalism, false dichotomy, the sham dilemma of communist and capitalist rhetoric, particularly communist versus capitalist rhetoric, because as I'm saying, communism and capitalism are natural socio-political impulses, or at least projections or manifestations thereof, or distortions thereof. And so a balanced kind of suffrage, a balanced kind of political franchise will indeed incorporate the both and realise the interdependency of the two models, that they're not antagonistic, they're not forces of good and evil engaged in an eternal fight for supremacy and destined to self-destruct. They can be balanced with conscious effort and progressive initiatives such as decentralized currencies, decriminalized marijuana, particularly medical, industrial, nutritional, hemp cannabis products, and the development as well, and I think this is quite important, and it's also conspicuous in its absence, the development of automatically translating instant messaging platforms So social media sites as we know them, but with global interfaces that automatically translate all messages or posts so that people can speak directly to one another using computer technology, which does exist and is quite ubiquitous by now, as translators, as mediators, as interpreters. I'm quite sure, with my limited knowledge on the subject, that such a thing is doable, but that there are reactionary political reasons why they aren't yet present in practice. So, again, just to introduce to you the concept of Committalism, it's a hybridization of communism and capitalism, and a challenge to what we perceive as the false dichotomy, the needless antagonism of communism versus capitalism. Thank you for watching.